Hello and welcome back to the vault. I'm the Gav Major, and this is a review of the Tier 7 British heavy cruiser Albemarle, which is now completely researchable. Now, this is a game of domination on Sea of Fortune. On the enemy team, we have an Orkan, a division of a Surrey and New Orleans, a Siegfried, a Gneisenhower Nelson, a Bismarck, Iowa. So it is a Tier 6 and 7 game. Spawned on the centre left, so I'm just swinging over to the left flank and see what assistance I can bring over there. So, HMS Albemarle, she is a paper design that was drafted in 1940 for a British heavy cruiser in order to counter the German heavy cruiser designs. Never really went much further than the initial draft, I have to confess. However, the name chosen, whether it's by Wargaming or actually was a name picked by the Royal Navy, Albemarle is taken from George Monk, who was the first Duke of Albemarle in the 1600s, and I think he was actually an admiral as well. So as always, during these live reviews, I'm going to try my best to give you a good game while I go through the stats. So, survivability wise, against the tech tree cruisers as always, she has the joint highest base HP of 43,800. She also has the highest HP pool of 78,800. Also got the joint highest torpedo reduction of 19%. Now, regarding the armour, it's always best to go back to the board and have a look at that armour view. So now we're back in the port, let's take a look at that armour. Well, you might recognise her, being she's very similar to the Cheshire. However, there are some slight differences, one of those differences being that the stern and bow armour is slightly different. In this case, we're looking at going up to 25mm, which is capable of ricocheting 14-inch AP. So that does help. 14-inch AP or less, you can probably bow tank it. Stern tanking is another query though, because you do have that transom stern, and with that transom stern it's going to be very difficult to get everything perfectly angled, so that's something to obviously take into account. What is behind your stern though is obviously going into the citadel, so this is why you don't want to be offering your direct stern to anything, or your direct bow to anything that can actually overmatch it, because it's just going to be going into the length of the citadel. Going on to superstructure is mostly covered in 16mm plating, which does mean it is capable of ricocheting up to 8-inch AP, so potentially could make it a bit difficult for AP slingers. However, it is a big target, and therefore it's going to absorb quite a lot of HE damage, I guess you could say. Now, the upper armour, or the auxiliary armour, I guess you could say, the auxiliary room armour. First of all, interesting part is the deck is 30mm thick, which does mean the deck is capable of ricocheting 16-inch guns. A really strange trait, like we've had with most of this tech tree, which does mean potentially at long range you might be able to have a battleship AP skip off of you. However, it's more of a theory, and something I don't necessarily encourage practice of. It's basically, if you get lucky, it's nice to have. Now, your armoured bout in regards to that is only 27mm thick, which is only capable of ricocheting 15-inch guns. So it does mean that you can angle against 15-inch guns, so that is useful. Against 16-inch guns or higher, you're in a bit of a pickle, and you're either hoping it skips off the belt at long range, or skips off of the citadel plating, which is always quite risky play, I guess you could say. Obviously, the turrets and the barbettes are quite heavily armoured in that cruiser thickness armour, so nothing really to talk about there. Yeah, just the usual stuff. Going on to the citadel, as you can see, it is big, it is chunky, and it is practically drawn on the side of the ship. So if you're trying to target a British cruiser at these tiers, you simply aim for where the armour steps, and then that obviously helps with being able to pick out the citadel. It has a step in the front and back, which does mean it's a bit of a shell trap potentially, so that's one risky part of it, and obviously it's so big that it's going to be very easy to hit, especially if you're broadside on, or even if you're nose on, you've got the full length of the ship to obviously punch into. Now, the very top of it is only 40mm thick, whereas the rest of it is pretty substantial armor all over, apart from underwater where you're looking at your torpedo protection, really, I guess you could say. They've kind of folded the torpedo protection into the Citadel armor. But all in all, she looks quite interesting. Slightly better armored than the Cheshire, but then she is a tier higher than the Cheshire. Interesting to look over her anti-aircraft component while we're here. She's got loads of 20 mils in the back, loads of 40 mils as well. She's also got those dual purpose guns, which is always helpful. She can have a catapult fighter instead of radar. That is a choice that you can go for. Loads more 20 mils there and a couple more 40 mils up front. So interesting complement of anti-aircraft capability. Would be interesting to see how she actually stands up when we ever get to there. Anyway, we better go back to the game, so catch you there. And welcome back. Time to start taking a look at the artillery as we prepare to get our first volley downrange. She has 9 8-inch guns in 3 treble turrets. We have Y turret at the rear, then we have A turret, B turret super firing up front. Now you have an above average reload time of 12.5 seconds, but you do have the second best turret traverse speed of 20 seconds per 180 degrees of rotation, so they're quite fast turrets really, which is quite nice. Now when it comes to the shells, you do have the joint highest HE shell damage of 3,300, joint highest fire chance of 17%, and the third lowest AP shell damage of 4,500. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but you do have a just above average range of 15.5 kilometers. Now when it comes to those DPMs, you do have a below average HE DPM and below average AP DPM, and also a below average fires per minute, so that rate of fire does hurt you a little bit there, especially say in comparison to some of the lighter cruisers at this tier, like the Cleveland, which do have those immense rate of fires. Going on to the torpedoes, you do have 2 quadruple launchers. These are fitted 1 per side. Now these do have the second longest launcher reload time of 96 seconds and the below average reload time per tube of 24 seconds. They also have a below average damage of 15,533. They have an average detection range of 1.3 kilometers, above average range of 10 kilometers, and above average speed of 62 knots. So we managed to tickle that Gneisenau a little bit while we kited away. So we're going to close in, now we've got the cap, and see if we can start working over some of these other ships. We've all got a Siegfried there as well, and then Nelson. So it's only really Nelson there with the 16-inch guns I'm partially concerned about. Just struggling to get line of sight on something though. Also noting that the enemy Orkan has been spotted over at the Alpha objective as a radar cruiser. That's always good intelligence to know. So, going on to the manoeuvrability, you do have a just below average speed of 33 knots, and you have a just below average turning circle of 720 meters. You do have the third slowest rudder, however, of 10.7 seconds. Now, you may note my rudder does look quite nippy, but that's surely because I've taken quite a lot of countermeasures towards improving my steering. When it comes to the concealment, you do have the third best detectability by sea, which is 12.1 kilometers, and third best by air, which is 7.2 kilometers. You also have an average detectability in smoke of 6.8 seconds. Enemy Orkan has taken out our Mayuku, so I'm going to have to keep an eye over there. See if we can get a fire on the Nelson. But I kind of feel it's worth me pushing over to the other flank and see if I can just hold the enemy up for a little bit. Get another fire on the Nelson, which is always good because I know he uses damage gun. So, talking about consumables, obviously you do have 2 sonar. I've obviously bumped it up with a fully packed commander. And this is your standard sonar for a tier 7 cruiser, so it will detect ships at 4.4 kilometers, torpedoes at 3.1 kilometers, has a 96 second duration and a 180 second reload. Now, with your other consumable, you do have a choice. You can pick radar or catapult fighter. If you go for the catapult fighter, you get 3 catapult fighters. Not really much else to talk about when it comes to catapult fighters at the moment. Alternatively, you can go for radar. If you go for radar, then this has a range of 9 kilometers and a duration of 30 seconds. So it's quite nice. It's pretty much your standard Allied radar, I guess you could say, for the tier, or Allied cruiser radar. Bismarck's potentially coming into range of me, so I'm going to have to start making sure that I'm not dead in the water. Now, your last consumable is the repair party. Now, these are quite impressive, really. They heal 875 HP per second for 20 seconds, which means that each repair party will recover 17,500 HP. Now, down in the description, as always, is the commander build and the modules used during this game. I've switched my commander out from the Let's Play that I did earlier this week. I've now got Tennant in there. I found that I needed just a little bit more speed and a little bit more rudder shift, and he's the better commander when it comes to manoeuvrability. For the modules, I've taken Aiming Systems Module 1, Steering Gears Module 2 and 3, and Gunfire Control Systems Module 2. The reason for the Gunfire Control Systems is that does actually buff out your range. I think the Auckland's nearby. I'm wrong. So he probably knows to stay outside of my radar range, which is quite nice. Or maybe not. There we go.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
Let's see, what's our problem. We've got a Bismarck. Okay, that's okay. He's got 15-inch guns, which means we're capable of ricocheting those. I think my intention is to stay away from the Iowa. That's the big concern with her 16-inch guns. Here come the shells. There we go. Nicely dodged. Well, that's everything that I've got written down, so now this is turning more into a Let's Play, so let's see how we can do for the rest of the game. Managed to, so far, do 53,000 damage and get 1 kill. And 7 fires. I'm quite impressed with the amount of fires that I've been able to consistently get with her during this game. I think my intention is just to try and draw a line of sight onto the Bismarck, potentially. Or see if I can assist. Obviously got those British sequential torpedoes, which is always quite nice. And some quite nice angles on them, actually. That's what I got. Quite good angles forward, quite good angles aft. I was hoping she might stay a bit more broadside on for a bit, but I'll switch that out. Let's see, we got an Iowa, a New Orleans, and another Bismarck. Iowa's the big concern for me. Now, as a British cruiser, interesting fact is that you can't choose propulsion modules. It's basically, the propulsion mod I should say, it's already built into the cruiser. However, it's not as effective as, say, some of the other nations if they have it equipped. I kind of feel that she is still a bit sluggish in the water. We're offering a lot of leg here. I don't think we're tempting anyone though. I kind of feel it's one of those games where you could sail broadside on and no one will really pay attention. Got a fire on the Iowa. Torpedoes on the starboard side are just reloaded. I think what I might do, just load up some AP. I'm going to slow it down here. Yeah, Iowa's not paying attention, so I'm going to wait until the guns are reloaded, and then I'm going to switch to the New Orleans, just in case it's got Ingenious ability. 6 over pens on the ricochet. Oh, and that's the game. I think we won it on caps there, simply because managed to obviously have 3 caps in advantage over the one they were keeping neutral, which is fair enough. Only 88,000 damage, nothing really that impressive, I have to confess, but 154 hits on target, 9 fires, and managed to wrap up that Orkan quite nicely, who drifted within my radar range. Team-wise, coming fourth on the team, well, you can't win them all, but, well, we won the game, I guess you could say, but can't be amazing all the time, but quite happy with that result, I have to confess. Economy wise, walking away with 132,000 credits with a premium count and a 20% credit booster. Ship service cost is obviously 142,000 credits in this case, so it's, I suppose, to be about 135 give or take ship service cost, so that's within range, I guess you could say, and would have walked away with a 5%, 5,000 credit loss if I didn't have the rare credit booster or premium count, I guess you could say. So all in all, quite happy with that. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have, feel free to give it a thumbs up. As always, down in the description is the command build, the modules, link to Patreon if you want to support the channel on Patreon, as it is a non-monetized channel, and that's the best way to support the channel if you want to do it that way, and also the email address for the channel if you want to send in any of your own game captures. Until next time, I think I'd like to say thank you to everyone, and I'm the Gareth Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping Major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life. Now, hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping